Hello, in this video we're going to look at how to control motors using the Microbit and the REKA breakout board. So firstly, let's have a look how the motors have been plugged in on this little robot. Wires have been soldered to each of the motor terminals, and then they've been plugged in to this part of the board that controls the motors. There's no, well, you can't do this wrong, as in if you plug in the wires in one direction, the car might drive forwards when you tell it to drive backwards, and then you'll swap them around. It's called polarity. So I just had to work out the polarity by trial and error on this car. It also depends on which way you'd kind of glued on the motors. So solder some wires on, plug it in, and then we can work out the polarity while we're coding it. All right, let's jump over to MakerCode and look at the coding and what that needs to do. So if we're on the MakerCode website, we need to download the extension called REKA bit, this one here, which will let us control everything. You'll see now we have this in our MakerCode. We've got options to control DC motors and servo motors and a whole lot of other things. But really, this is the main ones that we need to use, the running a motor and braking a motor. So if I grab this and I drag it in on start, I can change it between motor 1 and motor 2 and motor all. So maybe if we make both of our motors drive forwards, this is our speed, we'll leave it at that for the moment. It would just drive forwards forever. We are going to put in a pause afterwards, and the pause here controls how long it does this operation above it for. So it's going to drive for half a second, and then we're going to put in a motor brake all. So when we upload this code, it's going to drive forward for half a second, and then it's going to stop. So let's see what that looks like. At the moment, I've got it attached to my laptop. We'll plug the batteries in a moment. So turn it on. There you go, right? It drives forward and then it stops. Now, if I wanted to turn, maybe I'm just going to control motors at different speeds. So I could grab another motor control in here. This time, if I make motor 1 go forwards and motor 2 go backwards, or whichever way around, it's going to spin. Okay, but I might put in another pause. Maybe we'll do that one for 2 seconds. And we're going to take this brake motor and put that at the end. So now it's going to drive forwards for half a second. It's going to turn or spin on the spot for 2 seconds, and then it's going to stop. Let's download that. Oh, it's going to do it straight away. We'll plug in the battery pack so we don't need the wires attached, and we'll see what that looks like. There we go. So that's all well and good. You might like to pair this with some of the remote control, radio control functions that I've looked at in other tutorials. So maybe instead of having it on start, obviously you could put it on button A or button B, etc. But let's put it on a radio. So let's put it on radio received number, and then you could make a if statement, and you could put in a comparison. You could say if radio received number equals 1, then you want it to drive forwards. And you could add to this statement, of course. If radio received number equals 2, then maybe you want it to drive backwards. So obviously you need 2 microbits and a bunch of coding along with this to make that happen. But if you can combine this motor control tutorial with some radio communication tutorials, you'll be able to make a remote controlled robotic car like you see here.